Alrighty, good morning, everyone. We have a great episode for you today. We have Kevin Guillory, who is the office coordinator for give me a second, let me tell you the full name of it, the Louisiana Entrepreneurship and Economic Development Center, or you can just call it the LEED Center. That is the name of it. We're going to be talking with Kevin today about what he does there, what the center does to promote the area and regions around the area and all of that good stuff. Kevin's been on the podcast before, but because he has a slightly different role, at least I don't think you were in this role prior.
No, I was not.
All right,
No.
cool. So we're going to be talking about that and all that good stuff. And yeah, you're listening to the T. So I know if people don't know who you are, go ahead and give us your 30-second elevator pitch of who you are.
Who I am. Okay, my name is Kevin Guillory. I was born and raised in Lake Charles, Louisiana. First moved to Lafayette in 2001 to go to UL. Got my degree in marketing from UL in 2006. After that, I moved to Texas to do ministry full-time at Sam Houston State University. Stayed there for 5 years. Also had a stint in human resources with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Got laid off, got homesick, moved back to Lafayette in 2011. Been at UL since 2014, earned my MBA from UL in 2017. So I got 2 degrees from UL, been working there full-time for almost 8 months now. So I did 6 years working in admissions, and I've been with the LEED Center almost 2 years.
Man, that is awesome. So you got 2 degrees. You said a bachelor's and a master's?
Yeah, bachelor's in marketing and my MBA.
Okay, so an MBA, master's.
Master of Business Administration, yeah.
So real quick, you said you moved to Texas because you were born in Lake Charles, but you moved to Texas.
Yep.
And then you came back.
Yeah.
So is there a reason why you came back? Is there something that drew you back? Like what was that about?
It was mostly family.
It's always family.
Yeah, that's what it is, because I had no plan to move back to Louisiana once I moved to Texas.
Yeah, because your favorite grocery store, you're like the grocery
H-E-B.
store connoisseur,
Yep.
and H-E-B is your grocery store, and we don't have an H-E-B in Louisiana at all, right?
No, but we have one. They have one in Orange. It's a small one. It's right across the border. So whenever I go visit my parents in Lake Charles, sometimes me and my wife will take the 30-minute drive to Orange and get some of the stuff that we enjoy getting.
There you go. So tell me about your fascination with the grocery store business, especially H-E-B. Like, what? Every time I see a comment or a post about a grocery store, it's you're usually in the mix, and you're very vocal about H-E-B for sure.
So I think a lot of it goes back, which is funny, to my childhood. Like when I was a kid, I used to enjoy going to the grocery store with my parents, and for us, we live like a block from the Kroger in Lake Charles. That's no longer there. It's the one on 12th Street. And Kroger, at the time, they had a little arcade in the front, so I would go play the games. They had the movie and video game rental, so I know that I can probably get some cartoons on VHS or a Sega Genesis game to rent and things of that nature. So it was like the memories of going with my family and walking through the store and getting to play the game and, doing different things like that. And so in Lake Charles, we actually had an H-E-B. It was their only store ever outside of Texas.
In Lake Charles?
In Lake Charles.
How long ago was this?
It closed in 2003. So I think it was maybe from late 90s to 2003. They were located on the corner of Nelson Road and McNeese Street in Lake Charles, which is now Market Basket.
Wow.
Zadell Champs and H-E-B and then Market Basket. So I grew up going to H-E-B with my dad on weekends and things of that nature. And so I was very familiar with it already. And so when I moved to Texas, it was, again, the memory of, going to the store with my dad and my family, my mom, and H-E-B is just a great store, and they have so many awesome products. So that's why.
Yeah. And look, I agree with you. Growing up, everybody's parents go to the grocery store. I mean, you have to be a family, especially if you're a family that has to eat at home and because and the one thing I hated hearing too, and whenever we would go to town, is we have food at home.
Yeah.
That was the worst thing to hear. But
yeah.
To make it as a family, to survive financially, you have to eat at home a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the grocery store, and I think it was whenever I was younger, the majority of our grocery store visits were to Winn-Dixie in Ville Platte.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I remember, and I don't know if this is every grocery store, but us little boys, it was me and two other brothers. We were three brothers all together, and that was a handful for my mom and dad. We would attack the little coupon machines that were on the shelves, and like there was
pull.
And they were like little red machines that would dispense the coupon. And us little boys, man, we had no clue what that was, but we pretended that it was money.
Yeah.
And in theory, it is money.
Yeah.
But so we would run around like little boy maniacs that we were, just every little dispenser grabbing it to the points where sometimes the dispensers became empty.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah. So did you have the same fascination with it as I did?
I think so. I think I took a couple of coupons out of there. But it's like that. It's those memories that you have that brings you back. And I find my son is 6 years old, and we find that he is loves going to the store with us. Well, obviously his favorite store now is Target, because Target is the toy store.
Oh yeah.
So he loves going to Target. But even if we go to Aldi, he gets excited. He starts skipping around. And I think it's just that being with family and knowing that, I may get something that I want. He's at the point now where he's like, oh, I like these chips. And he gets the chips and put them in the basket,
Yeah.
So I think it's that, knowing that, I might get something that I want. I get to hang out with mommy and daddy, kind of thing. And so those are the things that are ingrained as a child that you remember growing up.
Yeah. My little boy, he's 6 as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes he hates going to the grocery store because we sometimes take forever in the grocery store because we're trying to find the things that we want. And sometimes we don't know what we want to eat for dinner the rest of the week. So we're just kind of like window shopping. And he's always asking, are we done yet? Because he's just on his tablet. But if we pass through the toy area,
exactly.
He's ears are perked up. Like he wants to be down there.
He loves Matchbox and Hot Wheels, and so every store has Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars. And, even CVS. Like he wants to go to CVS now because they have the little die-cast cars in the back, the bigger cars, and so every store now for him is a toy store. And if we go to a store that doesn't have toys, he gets upset. Oh, he's like, I don't want to go to that store. They don't have toys.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know. That's funny. So I wanna kind of know, what does your position at the LEED Center do, and what does the LEED Center do? I have a little bit of the I guess the website information, so I'll kind of say that first, and then you can expand on that. So just broad stroke, the Louisiana Entrepreneurship and Economic Development Center develops regional innovation clusters. You're going to have to explain what that means.
Well, I don't know how up to date the website is.
Okay.
So it may be better just for me to explain.
Okay,
right
yeah,
now.
look, let's do that.
Because we're working on revamping the website right
Got
now.
it. Okay, so tell us what the LEED Center does, because it's an entrepreneurship and economic development center. What does it do, and how does it benefit Lafayette Parish and the parishes around it?
So for us, we are a EDA funded. We're funded by the Economic Development Administration of the United States. So we get all of our funding from the federal government. They have a program, EDA has programs where they have university centers at universities around the country. And so basically what a university center is, it helps the university reach out to the community and help with entrepreneurship and economic development and things of that nature. And so for the LEED Center, we've been around for almost 5 years. The biggest programs that we've run, like our flagship programs, have been the Accelerate programs. So in 2020, when COVID hit, we received some CARES Act money. And with that money, we decided to do a small business development program for underserved areas here in Lafayette and rural communities across Acadiana. And so we have the Accelerate Northside program, which we just started our 4th cohort. We are in week 2. Last night we had session number 2. We had 50 participants last night. During the first 3 cohorts, we completed about over 130 participants. And so apart from the Accelerate Northside program, we did Accelerate programs in St. Landry, Acadia, Vermilion, Iberia, and Evangeline. And so we went to each of those parishes and did the first couple of was 6-week sessions, but then we did it to two or 3 all-day sessions where they would come and learn about business operations, finances, the legal aspect of it, working on a business plan, marketing, getting resources when you don't have any, and things of that nature. And so for every Accelerate program that we do or that we did, we worked with a community partner, whether it be the Chamber of Commerce or the Economic Development Agency in those parishes. And so we also meet and do free consultations with people who have business ideas or who may already have a business, but they need a little guidance and things of that nature. So it's a lot that we do. So
well, that's good. So real quick, we had 3 comments come in while you were talking about all the things that LEED Center does, which is great. We'll expand on that in just a second.
Yeah.
The first one is, let me move my logos here. So it is Danny Dardo.
Oh yeah.
He just
What's up,
said,
Danny?
he just basically screamed Kevin Guillory with exclamation points and a little emoji face. And then we have, I don't see the name of the user. I don't know why Facebook just says Facebook user, but this person says, "Hey Kevin, class was great last night." Heart emoji.
All right, that's one of our people.
Yeah. But it just says Facebook user. I wish the name would have shut up.
Do they like your page?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know if that
need to like and subscribe.
Yeah, right. Thank you for that. You're doing more promotion for me than I do for myself.
I'm saying.
All right, and then we have Katrina Lagno, LAG.
I'm from Lake Charles, so.
Dude, I butcher last names like no problem. Look, Katrina, I'm sorry. Lagno, I think it's Lagno. Forgive me. The comment says, "Nice, great learning opportunities."
Yeah.
Praise hands.
Awesome.
All right. So if you comment, do keep in mind that if you have oh, wait. You said it correct. It's very rare, but thank you. Awesome, Katrina. Thank you for chiming in on that. Okay, so I wanna Lanyo. Yeah. So she put the simple pronunciation.
Oh, like the restaurant.
Like she spelled it LAWN, lawn, and YO, yo.
Okay.
So great. Thank you for that.
Good to know.
Super helpful. I know. So I'm originally from like near Alexandria area. That's where I grew up most of my life. And between Ville Platte and Alexandria, there's this imaginary Mason-Dixon line, so to speak, where Cajun culture and redneck culture divide. Yeah. And like you go to Alexandria, Cajun culture is gone.
Yeah.
And if you're from the central Louisiana area, and if you're offended by that, it doesn't matter because you're probably the one person in Alexandria offended by that. But so thankfully, my experience is a lot more based with Ville Platte as well. So I have a good mix. I remember going to McDonald's as a kid, even as a teen, working at Winn-Dixie whenever I had first gotten into working field, and there was a bunch of old Cajun men sitting in McDonald's drinking black coffee, speaking French. I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
You don't get that anywhere else. At least not in Louisiana.
I remember I met my first Cajun. I was working at Chili's in Lake Charles, and these guys were at the table, and I was busting tables at the time, and these 3 guys were sitting at the table, and it was dirty, so I went over to clean up. And then the guy said something to me, and I was like, "Excuse me?" And he said something to me again and started laughing. I'm like,
he didn't call you a couillon.
No, I'm like, what is he saying? Like, and then the other guy was like, "Oh, you got to excuse my friend. He's from the Ville Platte." And I was like, I have no idea what that means, but okay. So I always remember that experience. It was very interesting.
Yeah. Look. Any experience with someone who speaks Cajun French, or Creole, even Creole French, you just let it be.
It was interesting.
All right, so you mentioned Accelerate Northside, and I want to touch on that because the north side of Lafayette, especially right there by the I-10 corridor, just north of downtown. That's what I think most people considered the north side.
Yeah.
Because you can make an excuse for Upper Lafayette, and that's different. Like that's when you say Upper Lafayette, you're meaning Upper Lafayette Parish, not the city. The city, North Side Lafayette, is what I want to talk about. So, what does Accelerate Acadiana kind of do? Can you expand on that a little bit for the North Side community? And is it mostly North Side entrepreneurs taking advantage of that? Like, and are you able to speak on some of the people that have taken that course and like what are they doing?
Yeah, so we've had, like I said, 130 people go through the first 3 cohorts, and we have 50.
130
through the first 3, and then we have another 50 this session. So the Accelerate Northside program was funded, as I mentioned, by the CARES Act money that we received in 2020. That was only for 2 years. That was only a 2-year grant. So that money ran out on June 30th. And so
how are y'all funding it?
Thankfully, LEED has partnered with us.
Nice.
Senator Gerald Boudreaux and LEED got us some funding. And so we're able to continue the Accelerate Northside program for this year. We're also going to be doing a mentoring program as well as various workshops. And so thanks to them, thanks to LEED, who stepped in as our partner, we're able to continue the program. And so
was Mandy Mitchell kind of a big player in that?
Definitely. Yeah. Mandy Mitchell, yeah. Shout out to Mandy.
Yep. And Mandy, if you're listening, you need to schedule the podcast episode. I've been trying to get her on. She actually scheduled and then had to cancel it, and she was going to reschedule. She never did. So. I'm looking at you. So I want you to come on. You've been on other podcasts. You've been everywhere else. I've been trying to get you here.
So
anyway,
Mandy's awesome. She's doing a great job.
Oh, no, she is doing a great job.
She's awesome.
I'd like to talk to her.
For the Accelerate Northside program, I think that one of the biggest things that I've seen for us, so our job, I guess, is to give out the information, give out, how do you do a business plan? What do you think about when you're funding your business? How do you market to your customers and all of that? But we don't do any of the work when it comes to their business. It's their business.
Right.
So seeing them,
you're not holding their hand.
Yeah.
You're giving them tools.
Yeah, we're giving them tools and accountability, meeting with them and following up and all of that. But it's them taking the ball and running with it, to use a football analogy.
Yeah.
For me, my favorite part has been the community that's been built. Because I think there's something about having an idea for a business and being in a room of dozens of other individuals who are thinking like you, who say, oh, I want to take control of my life. I want to do whatever. And a lot of times it's not even a business that they're going to say, oh, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to do this full time. It's a side hustle or it's something to increase income, And I would think, if somebody has a side hustle that's, say, making $500 extra a month. $500 a month makes a big difference. Whether or not they quit their full-time job and all of that. But just seeing the community that's being built or has been built and seeing how they all work together. When somebody needs this, they contact one of their classmates and they come through with something, So it's one of my favorite things was Leah Porter opened up Park Village on Moss Street. So Leah owns the Fire Expressions dance. Her and Jasmine Jones, who's also a Accelerate alum, do the Creole Nutcracker. And so she opened up an art center on Moss Street. And so we went to the grand opening, and one of her Accelerate Northside classmates, Mel Haynes, owner of Sweet on V, provided the desserts. Yeah, so it's cool to see them collaborate. And they're still doing that. Like people from across classes and cross cohorts are working together. So for me, that has been the favorite part of them, knowing that, hey, I'm not alone in this. And I know that there are other people, like me with similar backgrounds trying to make a difference. And one of the things I love about the people that we work with is that it's not about they want their own business. They want to be successful. But for a majority of them, it always comes back to, I want to give back to the community. I want to figure out how I can be a blessing to other people and things of that nature. So for me, that's been the coolest thing to see.
Yeah, look, man, that look to give back to the community is something that a lot of people think that you have to be rich for,
Mm-hmm.
and like if you want to give back hundreds of thousands of dollars, yeah, you got to be rich,
Yeah.
because you can't pull that out of thin
Yeah.
air. But you can give back to the community in so many different ways, even as a small business owner that is barely making it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just helping another business owner get up off the ground,
Yeah.
or helping a local nonprofit, just like,
Mm-hmm.
I love that. um so going back to your roots of grocery store fanatic,
Mm-hmm.
the north side of Lafayette, by all other media accounts, is
Mm-hmm.
this grocery store food desert
Mm-hmm.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do have Super One on the north side, and I
Yeah.
think Bros Mart. Uh, there might be
On
one
Mall
or two
Street.
others.
Yeah.
And then I know this is kind of a topic of debate, I guess, if you
Mm-hmm.
want to consider the Target area on Louisiana Avenue part of
Mm-hmm.
Northside.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys consider that area part of Northside?
Uh, for us, I mean, we don't really have any definite boundaries of what the north like as far as like the people that we work with. We don't have
Yeah.
any geographical restrictions. Like we call it Accelerate Northside. We focus on people from the north side, but when people apply, we don't have this big giant map of Lafayette and say, oh, well, they live in this
You're not
area and all
yeah.
of that. So for us, I mean, we don't define it. I mean, geographically, yes, it's the north side of Lafayette, but it's not, the neighborhoods in the north side, like Macomb Vise and
Yeah.
those neighborhoods over there in Truman and all of that area. So I guess it all depends on who you
Yeah.
are.
So I guess, does the Accelerate North Side, do you believe, that I said that twice, that program can or is helping to, I guess, bridge the gap, trying to get more food options in the area? Because I know Aldi's
Mhm.
being built, Target has groceries, but whenever people say that the north side is a food desert,
Mhm.
I feel like they're talking about a very defined region
Yeah.
of the city.
Yeah.
And I think that doesn't include, in my opinion,
Mhm.
that it doesn't include the Target area, because I
Yeah.
think that was a TIF district at one time.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, now that we have Aldi being built, which I think it's supposed to open in like
November 9th.
God, see, they keep pushing
They
that.
keep
date
pushing
back.
it back. It was October 16th, then they moved it to November 2nd. Now it's November 9th.
Okay, because it was supposed to be this weekend.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be 2 months ago.
Yeah, so I don't know.
But anyway, so do you guys feel like you're contributing to kind of help bridge that? Like, what are your thoughts on that whole situation?
Well, for us, I know there are other organizations in Lafayette that are working on the Food Desert Initiative. So for us, we take more of a broad approach to entrepreneurship and economic development. So if somebody comes through the program, somebody comes to us and say, hey, I want to open up a grocery store, then yeah, we'll work with them. But on the broader community level, there are other organizations that have the Food Desert Initiatives. I remember going to LIA hosted a Leading Over Lunch event a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about different initiatives that are going on with various organizations around Lafayette.
Okay.
So we take a very individualized approach to helping entrepreneurs empower themselves.
Okay.
So
That's good to hear.
yeah.
Real quick, I want to get my sponsors in.
Mm-hmm.
The Music Academy of Acadiana, Acadiana's top choice for music lessons. So if you're a beginner, or if you're someone who's proficient in music, and you want to take a class, it's a locally founded company. The founder is Tim Benson, who is a UL Lafayette Music School graduate. The Music Academy has been voted as a top finalist in several local and national awards. Great local company. They have about, several months ago, they had about 500 students in and out each month. So super busy, but very talented group of people. If you want to learn music, there's no time better to start than now. That's just me saying that. It's not in my script. Because, I mean, that kind of applies with anything. The best time to start is now. Because if you don't, you're going to be wishing you did. So they teach students of all ages and styles. They teach piano, guitar, voice, drums, violin, saxophone, flute. They even teach audio production. You can check them out at their website, musicacademyacadiana.com. Ultimately, their goal is to make music lessons fun, educational, and to help foster the next generation of musicians and creative thinkers. You can find them out by their website on the screen, or go to Facebook and Instagram. And then our other sponsor, which hopefully they are going to continue to sponsor us, but they came in as a big help about this time last year. The Orchard, who is Acadiana's only Apple authorized service provider. They fix everything and sell everything that is Apple, and they fix everything Apple based on the Apple recommendations. Actually, it's not even recommendations. I think it's like strict checklist. And so they use genuine Apple parts. So if you have a broken screen or anything like that, they will fix your Apple device the right way, the appropriate way, so that it works the same way out of the box as it did before you broke it. You can check them out at theorchardstores.com or at two of their, actually now it's three of their locations across the South Louisiana area. They got two in Lafayette, one by Buffalo Wild Wings on Ambassador, and then one in Carencro by Super One Foods, and then they just opened up one in New Orleans. I don't know exactly where, but they have a Facebook page, so go to the Orchard on Facebook or their website, and you can see where the New Orleans location is. So yeah, we appreciate those guys. And so we'll get back to talking about the entrepreneurship LEED Center. I say entrepreneurship. It's the LEED Center. Entrepreneurship is baked into the name. Mm-hmm. All right, Kevin. All right, so I want to talk about what you're seeing as far as economic development goes in whatever line of sight you want to view it from, whether through LEED Center or your own personal kind of lens. How do you think Lafayette has grown, and where do you see Lafayette growing over the next 10 years, looking back at the past 10 years? Because Developing Lafayette just made 10 years this year, and it's weird to look back on where Lafayette was 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And at first thought, it's like, oh, it didn't change all that much, but it changed a lot. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on where the city is going versus where it has been?
For me, my outside of my professional capacity, so I lived in Lafayette from 2001 to 2006 while I was going to UL.
That was early.
Yeah, that was. But back in the day, when I lived on campus pretty much my entire college career, and the biggest places we would go was the Walmart on Pinhook. So what I knew of Lafayette was the Walmart on Pinhook. Sometimes we would go to the mall down Johnston Street and things of that nature. But I remember what it used to look like. And I remember when they built the Target on Ambassador right here, my first thought was, why are they building a Target way out here? Like, there's nothing out here,
Wow.
And so I remember driving down Colley's Saloon before any of this was here. And what was really funny was that the speed limit on Colley's Saloon when you got past Marshall went up to 55. That's how much there wasn't anything out here. And, and so when I moved, I moved in 2006, moved back in 2011. There wasn't much that had changed in those 5 years that I was gone. The biggest thing was the Target on Louisiana Avenue. I don't even think I don't know if the exit was even built when I was in Lafayette, but moving back and seeing that Target and seeing all of that development has been really cool, and just seeing Lafayette grow as it has over the past few years. For me personally, I think having lived in Texas and having seen what they do with feeder roads off the interstate.
Well, look, we all know Texas does roads better, apparently.
Yeah, but it's when I think about going through a city in Texas, and I think about like what we have here on I-10 and cars going between New Orleans and Houston, and how much space there is, especially at Louisiana Avenue, but even at the other exits, for stuff to get people off the interstate. That's what I would love to see, more things that can benefit the community, but also have people stop in Lafayette, you know, without saying the B word that rhymes with Chucky's, you know. That's my dream to see. But anyway,
yeah, because if we had that B word that rhymes with Chucky's in Lafayette, people would only stop in Lafayette for that.
I mean, that's why I stopped in Baytown, Texas.
Yeah,
and it's funny. Like, I stopped in Baytown to go to Buc-ee's, but I also go to H-E-B in Baytown. So it's like I'm there. And the last time I was there, we stopped and ate dinner. And so it's like I wouldn't have stopped in Baytown otherwise.
Right.
You know, and so for me, I'm like, I wonder how many people get off, you know, in Baytown who would not have otherwise.
Oh, no.
Gotten off.
If it wasn't for Buc-ee's and all the, I mean, Baytown, that area is growing a lot.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for all that, obviously you just drive through.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to Houston.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it has been. So what's funny is I think it was last year, whenever the hurricanes were coming through, whenever it was a pretty active season.
Yeah.
Thankfully, this year has been like the quietest hurricane season I've ever seen in the past 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
I remember looking at hotels, and I was like, okay, we need to go west to get away from the hurricane. I think it was Ida that was coming through, and it was like the eye of the storm was directly hitting Lafayette at that point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we need to go ahead and get our exit ready because I don't know how this is gonna be.
Yeah.
We're close enough to the coast that if this hits directly and it's a category 4 or 5, like we might be in trouble.
Yeah.
So we looked at Baytown, and I was like, this Baytown's not too bad. Now, what's unfortunate is that everybody was booking Baytown at that point, and the hotels were getting booked, and the supply and demand factor, the prices went up.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, it's not affordable to stay in Baytown.
Yeah.
So we found a hotel in Katy, Texas that was cheaper.
Yeah.
But we were considering Baytown because Baytown has a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of restaurants there now. I want to say, I don't know for a fact, but I think a Saltgrass is there or in that area.
Like Saltgrass, Cheddar.
Yeah. So there's a selection of stuff. So like you don't have, it's like a mini Houston.
Yeah.
If mini Houston, take it for what you want, a grain of salt. This is Lafayette boys saying that. So yeah, we considered that. And so when you think about Lafayette, when you drive from, like you said, Houston or New Orleans back and through the Lafayette area, there's not a whole lot off the I-10 corridors that makes you want to stop. Besides maybe what's in Scott with the Boudin.
Yeah.
Like if you know about that, you're probably going to stop. But other than that, if you drive through where I-49 and I-10 connect, chances are you're just going to keep going.
Yeah.
Like
So-
why hasn't Lafayette focused on that portion of our city the most?
That's
Like,
a good
why?
question. I remember having some friends of mine when I was living in Texas, or friends that I met while I was living in Texas. They had a trip, I think, to New Orleans or somewhere. And I would always talk about, you know, when I was living there, like, yeah, Lafayette, you know, Lafayette's awesome. They have this, we have that, you know, and da-da-da-da-da. And at the time, I was living in, like, a smaller town with only, like, 30,000 people. So I was like, yeah, in Lafayette, we had this, and we did this, and it was awesome. And so they drove through, and they were like, they wanted something to eat. But when they were driving through Lafayette, they were like, I thought Kevin said this place, you know, had all this stuff. And I was like, oh, well, you gotta get off the interstate. You gotta turn right. You gotta go 8 miles, you know, and then this and that and the other. And it's like, it was funny because I was like, yeah, you know, just trust me when I say that it has a lot of stuff. You just can't see it, you know.
You can't see it.
Yeah, and so I mean that's not a question I can answer, but I think there is potential. There is potential there, and I think there are opportunities, and because I mean the Target has shown that it's a very viable area, and you know, for me when I think about, you know, that part of Lafayette. I mean, you can draw people from as far away as Jennings, you know, because if you live in Jennings, you're either going to go to Lake Charles or you're going to go to Lafayette, you know, and if there's more opportunities in that area, I think more people can draw from Jennings, from up to Opelousas and things of that nature. So, yeah.
Well, I think what Lake Charles has for it is the casinos.
Yeah.
A lot of people drive to Lake Charles for the casino activity because there's restaurants. It's like a little mini city in one little spot.
Yeah. So,
but as far as like, okay, so take out the casinos. Lake Charles is just a smaller version of Lafayette. Now I think we have more cultural significance here as far as Cajun culture, Creole culture. I think we have a good mix, but it's a mini Lafayette. So take out the casinos. If you're not going to casino, if you look at Lafayette, where it's grown today versus Lake Charles, you're probably going to want to like lean towards the Lafayette area, in my opinion.
Well, I think too, but with Lake Charles, if you're coming in, you don't have to, like, say you want to go to Target or Sam's or things of that nature, the advantage that Lake Charles has is that you don't have to sit in traffic. Like, if you're coming from Jennings, you just get off, go on 210, hop off the exit, and go to Target or go to Sam's.
You're right about that.
You're right back. So I feel like that's an advantage, having that loop. But Lake Charles, being born and raised there and seeing all of the stuff that they have gone through with the hurricanes and then the freeze and then COVID and things of that nature, there's definitely an opportunity for growth there, especially in the north part of Lake Charles, the older, more underserved area of Lake Charles.
Why is it always the north sides of our cities?
Because that's where, in my theory, that's where they started. That's where the cities started, because that's where the railroads were.
Yeah.
And I know Lake Charles started as like a lumber mill city. And so if you look at where the railroads are, that's where the cities were around. And then everything just moved further and further south. So Lake Charles is, in that sense, almost a mirror image of Lafayette. Maybe not to the extent of growth, but if you go to South Lake Charles, it's a completely different city than if you look at the North Lake Charles, especially after the hurricanes and things. And, one part looks like what hurricane? The other part looks like a hurricane hit the other day. So that's kind of an eye-opening, and the discrepancies and different things of that nature. But that's a conversation for another day. So.
It is a conversation for another day. Trust me, because when you're driving through, it's a very, very similar scenario. When you're driving through Lake Charles on I-10, what you see versus what's actually in Lake Charles. Lake Charles, much like Lafayette, you have to get off the interstate. Yep. You have to go down to the south portion of the area to see where the growth is actually taking place. And all the new fancy things to do and eat is all going that side. Yep, exactly. Same thing with Lafayette. Yep. Like, now that we have Costco, every godforsaken business wants to be where Costco is. Yep. I mean, and look, Costco's great for the city. It's attracting a lot of people, even from Lake Charles. I don't think Lake Charles has a Costco.
The closest Costco to Lake Charles, the other one is Houston. So.
Yeah, so obviously you're not driving to Houston to go to Costco. Yeah. You're going to go to Lafayette.
Unless you want to go to Buc-ee's.
Yeah, you're going to go to Buc-ee's. Of course. Look, Buc-ee's is worth the drive. If you have a hankering for beaver nuggets or jerky or, God.
Roasted almonds and pecans.
Dude, I like the dark chocolate cashews that they have. Look. So it feels like I want to take a trip to Buc-ee's right now.
So I don't know if they're a sponsor of yours or
they're not.
No, not Buc-ee's.
Yeah, no.
So last Friday actually I was riding with a friend in New Iberia, and the Cane River Pecan Company opened their pie bar, and so I went in and they had all these different kind of pecans, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I got 4 kind of pecans. It reminded me, eating the roasted candied pecans at Buc-ee's. I'm like, ooh, I want something like that, and they had like honey glazed and. So shout out to the Cane River Pecan Company, even though they're not sponsoring,
Yeah, no, definitely.
Check it out. It's a great spot in New Iberia.
Definitely worth the shout out.
Yeah.
I was going to write about them, and I don't know. I feel like as close as New Iberia feels in theory, it still feels so far away. I don't know why. And for me to write about something in New Iberia or to even do anything about any business in New Iberia, I feel like it's almost a disconnect from the majority of the following here is from Lafayette, the city. Yeah. And then my smaller demographics are Karen Crow, Youngsville, Broussard. And so I try to focus on this parish. And every once in a while I'll post something on another parish, but it's got to be within driving distance that I feel like it's going to make sense. And but Cane River, I've seen a lot of photos. I know a guy who helped get the company off the ground, get it established, and he sent me a bunch of photos, and
it looks awesome in there.
It looks really good. It's really well done. Yeah. Really nice place.
So I'm all for I mean, that's a quick trip. I mean, it's New Iberia is only 30 minutes, but that's a quick trip to go out and see something different.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah.
I like with my 6-year-old, when we go somewhere, like we went to New Iberia just to ride around, and we went to the McDonald's, and they still have a play place in there.
What?
And so sometimes he'll just out of nowhere talk about, Daddy, you remember that time we went to McDonald's and I played in the play place? He's like, what's that city called again? I was like, New Iberia. He was like, yeah, New Iberia. So now he has a memory of going to, and that was a 30-minute trip to eat McDonald's, and we went to the Aldi out there. But that's something that didn't take a lot of money, didn't take a lot of travel and all the gas. So, you know, in the eyes of a 6-year-old, New Iberia or Crowley or that's a whole new world to him.
Yeah,
so.
no doubt. That is wild. So they have a play place.
Yes,
you know?
He was loving it. Yeah.
My little boy is, and I think most kids are obsessed with McDonald's.
Yep.
I say McDonald's.
Whatever.
It's Mick, but, you know, country built McDonald's.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and no other McDonald's that I know of has a play place.
Nope, they're all being torn down.
So this one does.
Yep, the one on Admiral. Yep.
Wow. Now I might have to take a trip, and then
trip to go to McDonald's, let them play,
and then I'm gonna go to the Cane
go
River
downtown, get some pecans. Yeah, it's a inexpensive day trip with your family. So that's what I like to do.
Yeah,
Yep.
man. Okay. now that's exciting, because my little boy, he loves to play place at was it Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
On the north side, but they don't have
Don't
it.
have that anymore?
They have it, but it's not open. They closed it in COVID,
Yeah,
and they never reopened it. So I'm like,
you could sneak them into the one on Ambassador, the old building.
sneak them in, right? Yeah, with the stagnant air.
Before they make it a car wash.
Oh God,
Bruh.
So speaking of car washes, you brought it up. What do you think the deal is with all the car washes?
I don't know. They're profitable, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, they are. I mean, people wouldn't be investing millions of dollars if they wasn't profitable. It almost reminds me of the great frozen yogurt wars of Lafayette in the early 2010s that I heard about while I was still living in Texas. It was a frozen yogurt shop on every corner.
Every corner.
So I'm like, well, maybe history, we just car washes now. And so.
You know what? I feel like, and I don't know, I can't speak for other cities that are in a development kind of growth stage, but knowing what Lafayette does, I feel like Lafayette goes through these hyper trendy businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And over the past couple of years, it's been a car wash.
Mm-hmm.
And now, what do you think the hyper trend business is right now? There's one, and
I'm gonna say Mexican restaurants.
Close. No. There's one industry or one type of food that, do you know?
No.
Cookies.
Oh yeah.
Cookies.
I was gonna say self-storage. I thought that was gonna be the next trendy.
So, like, now, if you want to talk about the things that are popping up the most, yeah, self-storage, car washes, and Mexican restaurants kind of slowed down, but, it just so happens that the old Sears, did you see it?
Yeah. It's going to be a storage place and a car wash.
Let me tell you, when I saw that, I was like, you're kidding me.
I had to look at the date when you posted it. I'm like, he's lying. It's April 1st. Like,
you
really?
probably thought it was April Fool's.
Yeah, I was like,
No, it wasn't April Fool's. It was, the feelings that I had, it was more just giddy on the fact that this is going to be talked about for years to come.
Yep.
Was the fact that they literally bought an old portion of the mall, the Sears, and they're going to be putting a storage unit and a car wash.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, where's the Mexican restaurant?
Yeah.
Why not the Mexican restaurant? Like, you could have had it all.
So when you said that, I was like, our storage place, I'm like, okay, I can see that. But then you added car wash. I'm like, he's lying.
He thought, I know.
I was like,
everybody
he's making that up.
Everybody thought I was making it up. I swear. I was like, this is literally made for developing Lafayette. Like, this is what people expect to be a joke, and it's not.
I'll say he's trying to get clicks on that.
I'm not trying to get clicks.
Yeah, no, that was funny.
Look, I love to get clicks on my website, but I'm not trying to actively do that.
Yeah,
like, if there's something that especially April Fools, I've never, at least in the past 8-9 years, have ever put an actual April Fool's joke on the website itself.
Yeah.
I feel like the website is
Holy ground.
Holy ground. Exactly.
Facebook on another
Oh yeah, no,
whatever.
The Facebook feed is free game, bro.
Yeah.
Like you've seen some of the stuff I posted.
Whatever.
I don't mind triggering people on certain occasions.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm like, okay, time to have some fun.
Yep.
Today's one of those days. I need to
Make
do
it happen.
something.
So, yep.
But the car wash and storage unit, that was just something else. I don't know, bro. I was just like, it's literally writing itself for me.
Mm-hmm.
All I gotta do is just
go in there.
Share it. Like just let everybody. But you know what? I'm thankful that the Sears is not going to be vacant anymore.
Yeah, it's going to be used.
Am I super excited about it? I mean, it's a storage facility. I'm not excited about any storage facility. I think that as long as they do a good job on making it look good and not, the aesthetics of it. Mm-hmm. Like my favorite storage unit, and I've never used them because I try not to keep that much junk.
Yeah.
Is the one on Camellia and Johnston Street.
Yeah.
It looks the least like a storage unit.
They do a good job of making them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was a Cube Smart. And I think Cube Smart also had one on the north side, but they Life Storage.
Yes, I think they built like 3 at one time. The Camellia, Verot, and I think one on the Thruway.
Correct. Yep. And then they changed Life Storage. And so the buildings, I think the one on Verot, or Vero, rather. Whatever. Hey, look, we got Lake Charles here calling it Verot. I'm in the middle.
I mean, people in Lafayette, I don't know. They call it different things. So
you know what? Sometimes I say both. A lot of times I say, especially if I'm speaking to a crowd, I'm like, look, Verot / Vero, whatever you want to call it. Because if I say Vero, some people may not know what that is, but you don't say Depot.
Yep.
Depot.
That's the one thing somebody told me. That was the example they used.
Yeah. So, kind of going back to reeling it back in because we're at about 47 minutes, and I want to be respectful of your time. So what is the long game for the LEED Center? What are you guys hoping to achieve in the entrepreneurial space, and what does it look like in the next 5 years? Where do you guys hope for
That's
this to be?
Question. Well, for us, we want to continue working with the community, continuing to help people understand or realize their dreams and the goals that they have. For us, we take a head and a heart approach. We love working with the entrepreneur, but it's not just about numbers. It's not just about business. It's about getting to know them as a person as well. And also for us, another thing that we're focusing on is student entrepreneurship at UL, and working to help students realize their entrepreneurship goals or learn more about entrepreneurships across disciplines, because it's easy to think that entrepreneurship is a business college thing. And I remember I went to a conference at the University of Notre Dame last year, and they were talking about, what do you think entrepreneurship occurs most on a college campus? And they were like, it happens in the music department, in the art department, architecture department. It's people who, have a gift and they want to have a business around their gift. Those are the people that need to learn entrepreneurship. I want to learn entrepreneurship. And so for us, is getting across disciplines, across campus, and giving students the opportunity to learn about entrepreneurship and grow. And we actually are doing a pitch competition for students this semester. So, it's open to all UL students across disciplines. And so for us, it's just continuing that, making entrepreneurship accessible to anybody, and helping people to realize what an entrepreneur is. Because I think sometimes it's easy to have a misconception of what it means to be in entrepreneurship, because the success stories are usually people who, risked it all, or they mortgaged their house and they did this and they did that. And it's like, well, entrepreneurship has been around a long time. Yeah. Entrepreneurship isn't just tech companies. It's not just unicorns. It's the people that you knew growing up that sold chips and drinks out of their house in the country. Right. That's entrepreneurship. So it's that aspect of making it accessible to as many people as possible.
I remember hearing the word entrepreneurship or entrepreneur back whenever I was in middle school. And I forget what class it was. I went to public school, so it could have been any of the number of classes. It could have been math for all I know.
Yeah.
And so I remember seeing that word, and first of all, the word is an interesting looking word. It's very Frenchy looking.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is French. It might have French roots.
I say I had to take my time to type it out whenever I'm typing.
Exactly. I take advantage of autocorrect. I'm like, I get to the entree part. I'm like,
entrepreneur. Yeah.
But I remember getting the teacher to explain the word, and I'm like, wow, like, I'm going to use the word identify because of social, but at that time I was like, as a little boy, I was like, man, I feel like I'm that type of person.
Yeah.
Like, I like to create things and I like to try new things. And I feel like if you really kind of dissect what an entrepreneur is, they are just creative people. And I'm not talking about arts and crafts creative. It can be that too. But like, when it comes time to make ends meet and like put the what do you call that? The rubber to the road.
Yeah.
Like people become entrepreneurs real quick whenever they're put in a rock and a hard place. Yeah. And you get creative, and then all of a sudden you have a business that's making you, a couple hundred a month.
Yeah.
Or more. Like if you're lucky, like the unicorns are.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you make this a business where you do it full time. It's just one of those things. Like this is what just got me. I was like, I want to be an entrepreneur, but like, at the time, there was no like, being an entrepreneur wasn't the cool thing to do.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things where you could be that. And a lot of people equated it to being broke or like unemployed.
Yeah.
And now are like the word self-employed also meant, oh, you're just unemployed.
Yeah.
And now like it's popular. It's cool to be an entrepreneur, especially with the show Shark Tank. I don't know if you watch that.
I just watch it every Friday.
I love it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, okay, the sharks are being a little
I just hope they never do a live episode again because that was horrible.
It was. I agree.
Oh, my gosh. That was the worst ever. Anyway.
Yes. So that's another show.
Yes.
But yeah, so I just love the aspect of people coming up with ideas and then changing their lives from it. And so, I love where you guys are going, and I love that you're a part of it because I feel like you and I feel like we've been friends for a while, but like we only meet face to face every couple of years.
Yeah. Like for me, so I remember having a conversation, real quick story with somebody. I was at a career crossroads, I would say, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my career. Because I had got my master's, I had applied for different jobs, and nothing came through. And so I was like, okay, what do I do next? And I remember having lunch with somebody that I wanted to get some guidance from. And I said, I like working at the university, so I want a job where I can work on campus with students, but also like working in the community. So I want a job where I can work in the community. And I like entrepreneurship, so it'd be cool if entrepreneurship was a part of that. And I want to learn more about economic development.
Oh, you wanted the buffet.
So I literally, this is what I said. And like, this job is literally that. And it's funny because I'm the first person to hold this position. And so for me, it almost feels like, man, this job was created for me. And it was, when I got this job, I always was thinking, I've been back in Lafayette 11 years, and for 9 of those years, the pull to go back to Texas and just say, hey, let's move, let's go to Sugar Land, let's go to the Woodlands, Conroe, whatever, and let's just, be us and go and, explore new things and go to the greener pastures and blah, blah, blah. Even right up until the point to where I got this job, but once I got this job, it felt like, I had found my place, I had found my rhythm. And the past 2 years have been amazing, and seeing the people that I've been able to work with and the people that I've been able to meet has made the biggest difference. And so for me, I always tell people now, it's not where you live, it's how you live and who you surround yourself with. And so for me, my life, I feel like it's completely different. But I didn't have to sell my house. I didn't have to take my son out of school. I just changed my perspective and changed those who are around me. So that's the wisdom that I would like to share for today.
I love that because especially when with younger people, because we were both young at one time.
Yep.
I'm acting like we're old, but we're
Yeah,
not.
I mean,
But like we're not like 20 somethings
yeah,
anymore. You get into this space of like trying to find where you fit in, and I mean, I didn't find where I fit in until probably a couple of years of living in Lafayette, and I lived in Lake Charles a
yeah.
couple of years.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I was like, I want to fit in here, but what do I do? Like, the friends that I had, I wasn't super connected with them. I'm like, I don't feel like I have a glue here.
Yeah,
And so whenever I moved to Lafayette for work, I just started feeling like there was a pull here, and I'm like, okay, there's something here, but I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know if it's graphic design. That's what came here for, but something else. And like I found something that I can contribute to the community, and all of a sudden things just kind of got put into place. I'm like, dude, like I know some people are not spiritual or religious, but I feel like it was put together by a higher power.
Yeah.
I'll just say higher power. I believe in God.
Yeah.
So by higher power.
Yeah.
And I can't see myself anywhere else right now until I get to like near retirement age. Then maybe I'll like hitch a ride to Florida.
I think for me, it's like for me, it was finding my Lafayette.
Yes.
Is what I like to say, because I don't really do festivals. I'm not really a festival person. I don't like Mardi Gras.
That's not your Lafayette.
No. And so for me, it was like, okay, well, I need to figure out what my Lafayette is. And I remember the Opportunity Machine hosted a pitch competition. Man, this was probably 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
And I remember going, and I was like, ooh, this is awesome, And in 2015, there was the Gulf Coast Young Professional Summit that Sky Rito started. And I went there, and that's where I met so many different people and got plugged in with the 705. And so it was just like this process of finding where like you say, where you belonged. And for me, it's just been a gradual progression. And now, I'm very much I believe that my life needs to be holistic. I don't want to live compartmentalized. And so now I feel like I'm in a place where everything is matching up, and everything, I can just be me regardless of if I'm at church, if I'm at work, if I'm in the community, and everything just kind of blends in together. And for me, it's like, okay, I found my Lafayette.
Man. See, now that's something right there. You could probably what do you call that? Nurture that kind of that sentiment and probably create something new there.
Yeah.
Dude, I love it. Look, so this is Kevin Guillory, who is the office coordinator for Louisiana Entrepreneurship and Economic Development Center, aka LEED Center. I think office coordinator is a great spot, but I have a feeling that in the next few years we'll be having a different conversation. Slightly different, but
I'm always moving forward. That's the way I look at
it. I love it. I appreciate your time, Kevin, and I look forward to seeing where you go with making what Lafayette is for you. Yes. I think we all have our own version of Lafayette, and I think every city has that for someone. And I'm thankful that you found it here, because I was starting to get nervous the past few years. I'm like, is he gonna like get up and leave for HEB? No. He's gonna go work for HEB corporate.
Once we got the Aldi, I was pretty content. So
all right,
yeah, so I'm good. I can just drive. I can always just drive to Orange and get my HEB.
Yeah, so I'm good. And who knows? Maybe HEB will do us right and not do us like the B word Uckies did and skip over Louisiana. Maybe the HEB will come to Lafayette.
Our next conversation can be the merger between Kroger and Albertsons.
Oh, right. Look, that is a whole conversation by itself. Like, what in the world?
Something I never thought I would see. Anyway.
Yeah. I know. I still don't know what to make of it. I haven't written about it because it's too new. And I'm like,
it's not, I don't think it's going to affect Lafayette because we don't have Kroger. It's going to affect, Lake Charles has the Kroger and the Albertsons like 2 blocks from each other.
I know. What's going to happen?
What's going to happen? Dallas Fort Worth would be the market to watch because there's a lot of overlap. And so if they have to close stores, HEB's moving into Dallas now.
Oh,
So
yeah.
HEB will scoop up those stores and take. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. That's going to be a lot of conversation about that.
Well, look, let me tell you, I'm gonna keep an eye out on conversations that you have,
Yeah.
and look, if you see anything that's crazy, be sure to
I'll
tag
send
me
it
in
to
it.
you, definitely.
Well, look, guys, thank you for listening in, Kevin. Thank you for
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I loved having you, and it's always a fun conversation, and I feel like you and I we have a very similar kind of like vibe. So, yeah, thanks for listening, and yeah, Kevin, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Again, if you want to listen to the podcast on your phone while you drive, don't watch the video. We have the audio version on Spotify, Apple, and all the other places you can check out. And with that, let me show you the website to learn more about the LEED Center. It is, you can type in the HTTPS if you want to. Just type in business.louisiana.edu/LEED, and you can learn more about that. Screenshot this if you need to, and get connected with Kevin or any of the staff there. And yes, if you're an entrepreneur, it'll probably do you good to get connected with them, especially if you're on the north side area. But you guys work with anybody,
They
right?
work with anybody, yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Kevin, I look forward to seeing where you go, man.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.